Whether you're a tourist to Japan or have lived here for many years, there are always interesting traditional activities to experience if you make the effort to look. Hopefully this video will give you a great example of this. When you think of Japanese cuisine, sushi, ramen, tempura, there is one ingredient quietly working behind the scenes to bring it all together. Shoyu, or soy sauce. It's the salty, savory backbone of Japanese cooking and a staple in nearly every household. Shoyu has a long history in Japan. It was introduced from China over 1,000 years ago, but it really began to take on its own identity in Japan during the Kamakura period. By the Edo period, regional styles had developed and soy sauce became essential to the Japanese palate. Today it's not just a seasoning, it's part of the culture. There are 5 main types of shoyu in Japan, and they vary by region. Koikuchi. The most common type, originally from the Kanto region. It's dark, rich, and umami-packed, what most people imagine when they think of soy sauce. Usukuchi. A lighter colored soy sauce from the Kansai region. Despite the lighter look, it's actually saltier and used to preserve the color of ingredients like Kyoto-style simmered vegetables. Tamari. Rich and thick with a strong umami punch, it comes from the Chubu region and is often gluten-free, originally a byproduct of miso making. Shiro. A white soy sauce, mainly made from wheat, giving it a sweet and delicate flavor. It's popular in Kyoto and used when you want flavor without a dark color. Saishikomi. A double-brewed soy sauce that's darker, sweeter, and more intense. Think of it as the espresso of soy sauces, used for sashimi or dipping. I've always loved shoyu and wanted to learn a bit more about it and how it's made. I did a bit of research and decided to take a weekend trip to the beautiful city of Hamamatsu in Shizuoka Prefecture. Of course, I enjoyed the local scenery, an interesting cafe, a delicious dinner, and relaxing onsen or hot springs. But my main purpose was to visit the Meijiya Shoyu factory and shop. Meijiya Shoyu, established in 1875 in Hamamatsu, is renowned for its traditional brewing methods that produce the distinctive type of soy sauce. Their primary product aligns with the Koikuchi shoyu, the dark, full-bodied soy sauce prevalent throughout Japan. However, Meijiya's version stands out due to its artisanal production process and unique flavor profile. History. Founded by Nozue Mankichi in 1875, the Meijiya Company has weathered everything from war to recession, passing through 5 generations of family leadership. In the early days, Mankichi began selling soy sauce under the name Meijiya, officially establishing the company in 1889. After World War II, Meijiya thrived during Japan's Western food boom, expanding into sauces like tonkatsu and Worcestershire sauce as well. Today, 5th-generation president Kazuhiro Nozue leads the company, offering over 10 varieties of dark soy sauce, each with unique flavors and aromas. They've also branched out into miso and natto as well, and sell their products both locally and online. Their main brand is Yamaman, and it blends the symbol for 8, or Yama, symbolizing prosperity, and Man, from founder Mankichi, a name rooted in Edo period shop traditions and the family's ambition to reach the top. Their brewing process is a craft steeped in history and flavor. Utilizing time-honored techniques, Meijiya ferments their soy sauce over extended periods, allowing it to mature through natural temperature fluctuations of the seasons. This process enhances the depth and complexity of the flavor. Meijiya's kuradashi soy sauce is crafted using chadaisu, a type of edamame wrapped in a thin brown skin, and wheat grown on their own farm. This results in a soy sauce with a mild taste, natural thickness, and a rich umami flavor. And as an added bonus, there's a hands-on experience. You can not only get a personal factory tour of their operations, but also try your hand at making their very own shoyu to take home with you. That's what the rest of this video will be about. If you're interested in the factory tour and/or shoyu making experience, the first thing to do is to make a reservation through their website. I've also included the address in the comment sections below. Upon arrival, you'll notice the quaint gift shop where you can purchase pretty much all of their products and check in for the tour. Here are some shots of the factory, storehouse, and 3 detached buildings that were designated as National Tangible Cultural Properties in Japan in 2016. The original 3-story wooden brewery with cedar walls was expanded and remodeled by the 3rd-generation owner in response to the increase in soy sauce shipments from the early to mid-Showa period. The structure of the factory includes 5 work areas: making and preparing koji, storing mash, pressing, pasteurizing, and bottling. The factory's arrangement makes use of the building's height differences to ensure that work proceeds efficiently and smoothly. Alright, let's get started on our shoyu making experience. First, we start out with being given some basic information about the process from the current manager of the company. Here's some information about shoyu producers in Shizuoka Prefecture, where we are today. Next, we're introduced to the basic ingredients of shoyu, which are wheat, salt, and of course soybeans. And very importantly, different kinds of koji. A mold, which is used in the fermentation process. Now I can't say the technical word for it, but here it is. We don't have the time to wait around for the initial stages of fermenting the soybeans. So here are some examples of different stages of fermentation in the process. Finally ending up with a mash that has been fermenting for a whole year. While the staff are getting our experience ready, we take a quick tour of the aforementioned factory. First off are some ancient machinery. Now, I may be wrong as I didn't catch all the guide was saying, but this looks like a generator or engine of some kind. Some more equipment that has long been retired. Here are some more modern storage vats, along with some ancient pressing machines, where the liquid shoyu is pressed out of the mash. Pressed liquid is funneled through pipes and collected. Here's a storage area for more material and pressing mats. Some traditionally made wooden processing and storage barrels, and a bit more modern pasteurizing equipment. Here's the entrance to the actual production and aging area, and some shots of the cool elevated bins. Here are some shots of the different stages of aging. And some final shots of the elevated modern era. I didn't get any shots of the bottling area, but of course that's the most modern part of the production process. Okay, now let's get started with the hands-on experience. First, we put some plugs in the wooden pressing containers that will capture the pressed liquid. Next, in goes some kind of wood spacer to make room for the pressed liquid to pool at the bottom. Then we cover the box with a layer of some kind of cloth to catch the pressed mash. And then ladle in 3 scoops of 1-year-old aged mash. Shake to evenly distribute. Fold over the cloth. And repeat 2 more times. Now, cover with a sheet of plastic wrap. And place the pressing box on the top of it. Move the boxes onto the wooden press. Set up the pressing arm. Get a catching bowl and place it under the spout. And then press away. We left the plug in at first for effect, but after the first pressing we removed it and retrieved the pressed shoyu. Now, of course, this isn't enough shoyu, so we repeat the process multiple times until we have a specified amount. Now, this sure looks like shoyu, and you could technically use this as it is, but it wouldn't have much of a shelf life. So, we go on to the next step, which is pasteurization, where we heat the liquid for about 4 minutes or so. As it's heating, we get the filtering equipment ready. And we wait until the temperature reaches 75 degrees Celsius. Then we pour the hot liquid carefully into the filter. Set up bottles in the bottling frame. And pour the filtered shoyu into the bottle. Remove the bottle. Choose a colored cap. And cap the bottle. Of course, you can date stamp a label so you know when it was made. The product should be good for at least a year. And personalize it as you wish. There you go, your own bottle of shoyu. But wait, you're not finished yet. We follow our host into a traditional serving room. for an actual shoyu tasting. First, you get to try your original unheated freshly pressed shoyu, then the pasteurized final product, as well as some of Yamaman's best-selling varieties. And some tea with shoyu flavored caramel, and yes, it's good. Which was best? Making it was fun and tastes like shoyu, but the professional versions are truly much better. And I dare say more tasty than huge company products you might be familiar with, like Kikkoman. Sorry, Kikkoman, your product is good too. Of course, I bought a couple of bottles to go as well. Well, there you have it. If you get the chance to stop by Shizuoka Prefecture on your trip, and you love Japanese food, take a half or full day trip to Hamamatsu City and experience hands-on shoyu making at the Meijiya company. You won't regret it. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it for more interesting tidbits from Japan.